Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 10. I'm John Cooney here to talk to you about a lot of great comics being released April 18th, 2012. A huge list of great books today, a lot of my favorite writers producing today, and so let's get to it. From DC, we've got Batman number 8. That is the prelude to the Night of the Owl storyline that's going to be crossing over all the Bat titles. If you've been following the Court of Owls storyline, it's some exciting work. Catwoman number 8 out today. Catwoman has a new partner in crime, Spark, and twice the thieves means twice the trouble. Justice League number 8 out today. In the 5 years since the Justice League has been built as the team, now that we've moved into the current timeline, we've got a new member being proposed for the team of Green Arrow, but not everybody's up for him joining. We've got Nightwing number 8, also part of the Night of the Owls Batman event. You'll learn Dick Grayson's part in the conflict. And Supergirl number 8 out, with George Perez doing guest artwork. It's nice to see George Perez work, and especially with Supergirl and Silver Banshee. From Marvel this week, we've got Amazing Spider-Man 684, Spider-Man against the Sinister Six, and we're going to get to see Sandman in a new environment. Imagine, we've seen Sandman fight Spider-Man in beaches and quarries and other places. Now, with the might of the entire Sahara Desert, and we've got Black Widow and Silver Sable guest appearing in that book. Avengers number 25. This is part of the Avengers versus X-Men. Captain America has now declared war on the X-Men, and we're going to see Brian Michael Bendis' storyline. This is the conclusion of his years of work on the Avengers. Avengers vs. X-Men number 2. Now that we've got the conflict started in issue 1, we get to see where it's going and who's going to be taking sides with whom. And we see the choices Hope is making and how that's going to impact the rest of the conflict. By the way, Avengers vs. X-Men 0 and 1 also both released as second printings. So you should be, if you weren't able to find those previously, you may be able to get your hands on the second printing now. Defenders number 5 out today. We're going to learn about the connection between Namor's history and Captain Nemo. Incredible Hulk number 7, Hulk versus Banner. This is a big issue, building just before the 7.1 release comes out next month. Invincible Iron Man 515. A hero falls in this one. You don't want to miss out on this important issue. New Mutants number 41. Out this week. That's part 3 of and the final part of the animator storyline. You see Cypher and Warlock as the remaining New Mutants left to stop the mutation. We've got Punisher number 10. That's part 2 of the Omega Effect with Spider-Man and Daredevil. This is a good time to get on board with the Punisher series and see what they're doing with Frank Castle these days. Wolverine and the X-Men number 9, another Avengers vs. X-Men tie-in issue. Wolverine on both teams has to choose a side, and then we get to find out whether or not the school will choose to follow him. X-Factor 234, one of my favorite books. Peter David, one of my favorite writers. We get a cat fight in this one with Monet versus Layla. And we also have a departed member of X Factor who's returning. X-Men 27 concluding the storyline for the open contract with Jubilee, and we've got the Assassin's Guild and Lady Bullseye and Lord Deathstrike. We're going to see where that one winds up. From other publishers, we've got IDW releasing John Byrne's Next Men Aftermath number 42. I talked a bit about the Next Men when they released 41 last month and gave a kind of a history of this book. But one of my favorite books, good artwork, great storyline from John Byrne. From Image Comics, we have Walking Dead number 96. This will probably be the first book I read when I pick up my books. But Walking Dead number 96 is the conclusion to the larger world storyline. We're going to learn whether Rick's group decides to join the network or if they're going to stay on their own, and what impact that's going to have, and whether or not they've made new enemies. And last from Image Comics, I mentioned Saga last week and how popular that book is. I know that it was almost an afterthought for me to mention, but I don't want to overlook this great book. In its third printing now out this week, Saga number 1 by Brian K. Vaughan, another great book that's out that's worth checking out. I know I talked a bit about it last week, but I wanted to let you know that if you aren't able to find it, that the third printing is being released, and you will be able to hopefully find a copy. A lot of great books out this week. A lot of my favorite writers out: Judd Winnick, Brian Michael Bendis, Peter David, John Byrne, Robert Cookman, and even this reprinting with Brian K. Vaughan. It's a very exciting week for comics, and if only Frank Miller would have released something this week, then I think my dream team would be complete. But that's it for me this week. You can check in with what I'm reading as I read it on my comic book blog at he'sgotissues.com and share with me what you're reading or the thoughts you have on the books that I'm reading, and I'd like to hear from you there. Till next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.